Before we get to this week's episode of Business Over a Brew, let me tell you about my friends at Roberts Motors. You know, one of our favorite episodes here on the show was when we had a chance to sit down with Sam and John Roberts. If you haven't had a chance to watch that episode, go back and take a look at it. It's great to see the interaction between not only two business partners, but of course father and son as well. They really epitomize what a local business is all about. Number one, doing business the right way, giving back to the community. If you have a chance, you may not buy a car from there, but at least give them the opportunity. Shop robertsmotors.com. You get more at Roberts Motors Ford. More selection, more value. Each vehicle they sell comes with the Roberts Rewards Value Package, which includes oil changes for 2 years, loaner cars, car washes, and much more. Get more at Roberts Motors Ford. Check them out at robertsmotors.com. Now enjoy this week's episode of Business Over a Brew. Welcome to Business Over a Brew, the show where we talk business with some of the Riverbend's most interesting and influential business people, all while enjoying a nice brew at the Great Rivers Tap and Grill inside the Best Western Premier Hotel in Alton. Today we visit with Todd Strubhart, Director of Parks and Recreation for the Village of Godfrey. He'll tell us about several new developments for the village, including turf fields, new lights, a bike trail expansion, and much more. It's the Business Over a Brew podcast from the Great Rivers Tap and Grill in Alton. Brought to you by Roberts Motors, the value store since 1949. Welcome to Business Over a Brew. I'm your host, Nick Darr. A little bit different episode for you this time. Not a local business owner, but somebody who definitely has an impact on local business. It's Todd Strubhart, the Director of Park and Recreation for the Village of Godfrey. Todd, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure being here. Enjoy it.
Well, let's just start with a little background. How did you get to be the Director of Parks and Rec for the Village of Godfrey?
Well, I spent 23 years with the Parks Recreation over in Belleville, Illinois. And then anyhow, the position opened up in Godfrey, so I applied for it, and then basically I was hired on, and I've been here for a little over 2.5 years.
Okay. For those that don't know, if you can, just kind of explain, what does a Park and Rec director do? It's probably not a lot like the TV show Park and Rec, is it?
No, not really. Okay. And actually, I've never watched that show because I thought it was such a facade. So all in all, I mean, it's a running the day-to-day operations from the park side and the recreation side as a whole, and blending it together to making sure that you have special events for everybody, recreation opportunities for everybody, and outdoor activities for everyone. Doesn't matter whether their age, color, their ethnicity aspect of things in regards to their abilities. Just making sure everybody has an opportunity to participate in any recreational or park activities that we may put on.
I know you were an athlete growing up. I was too, not a very good one, but it had a huge impact in my life, though. Talk a little bit about the impact of just athletics in your life.
Well, athletics as a whole in my life, I mean, it started out at a young age. I was playing soccer, baseball, and basketball as a whole. And I was able to basically parlay that on and continued on and played baseball into college. And I had fun with it. I had my oldest son was not really into athletics growing up, and I was trying to get him into athletics. And one of the things I told him was, it's not about whether you're going to be great at the sport or that you're going to make a living at it. Most athletes probably aren't. But I have relationships today with kids that I played baseball with that I still cherish. So it's really about, if you're thinking about getting your kids into athletics or not, I think it's about those relationships that you develop playing a team sport, especially. Right. It's a camaraderie you build, and you basically, through the camaraderie, the social, recreational skills that you're building as a whole, and it's your lifelong friendships that will be there. Like you said, you can pick up the phone. I text people today that I played ball with back in high school,
right,
and back in college. And just nonstop. We're always chit-chatting, and just, technology today, you're able to do that.
Right. I do the same thing. Not a lot of stuff that I would necessarily want other people to read sometimes. But,
right.
So Godfrey has really made a commitment to just developing a lot of different things from a park and rec standpoint over the last few years especially. And I know you guys have a lot of things going on right now. Just talk about a little bit about some of the development that's going on in the village right now from a park and rec standpoint.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank Mayor Mike McCormick, the trustees, and the board of the Parks and Recreation Board for basically having a vision and setting that vision into place. Due to the fact that they're setting this vision into place, we're able to embark on a mission. And the mission that we have is basically to not only draw the community together through Parks and Recreation as a whole, but also the Riverbend area. And one of the things that we had talked about previously was we are in the process right now of installing AstroTurf soccer fields. The lights are in already. We're going to be putting 2 soccer fields in, and as we speak, all the landscape, basically all the groundwork is being done. We're hoping by November 1 that the turf will be in, and then by March we'll be playing.
This is obviously the show's called Business Over Brew, so we always go at things from a bit of a business aspect. And I know people that pay taxes in the village, sometimes they think, what are we doing this for? Is that necessary? Talk a little bit about just the tie-in between facilities like that and the economic impact that it can have on a community.
Right. Anytime that you have, anytime you have athletics that come into a village or a town or a city, whatever it would be, and you and I spoke earlier about this, that our sons actually played in the same tournament this past summer, the Rally for Ron tournament, and we had 26 teams in town, and that was about 1,500 people. Those 1,500 people come into town, right. And that's a economic impact that Godfrey may not have had. And that will happen not only in the softball side of things, the baseball side of things, but it's also going to happen in the soccer side. And it's imperative that people understand that, all the investments we're making, we're going to see dividends on the backside, whether it be through the tax, the gas tax, through people going to the store, the Walmart, or eating at restaurants, or even staying at the local hotels.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think people don't really even fully understand sometimes. You almost have to have played or have somebody that played in these tournaments, and you go and you see all these people, parents and grandparents and kids and teams, they're always eating, always having to run and get something that maybe they forgot, or or staying the night if they're from far enough away. So, and that's part of the draw of a tournament like the Rally for Ron tournament, which I know you guys have been doing for a long time. The longer you can do it, the more teams you can get in it, the more appealing it is for somebody out of town to come to, and then the higher economic impact you have.
Right. And it's not only that, as far as the sport aspect of things, in the first part of August, we happen to have a car show. And the car show alone, we had over 140 some odd cars at that car show. And that's a big draw. And it will be there'll be more cars there next year. And that's bringing people all the way from about 2.5 hours away into this car show. I look at it from a standpoint of they're going to come into Godfrey and they're going to spend their money there in one way, shape, or form. But it only takes one person to say, "This is a beautiful town. I want to live here." And that's when you put the rooftops in. And when the rooftops come in, then the more taxing dollars come into play.
That's a great point that maybe I hadn't even considered. Of you show off your community and somebody wants to come live here. So
right.
That's really even more of an economic impact, obviously.
Right. And when people are looking to move into a community, they look at police protection, fire protection, education, and basically recreation opportunities as a whole, and quality of life. And the one thing I noticed when I moved to Godfrey, and I tell people this all the time, is the quality of life here is phenomenal. And I came from the area of Belleville, which I was only 7 minutes away from the O'Fallon Sports Complex. And I said, you guys are so fortunate because you have the Glazebrook Park, and it's sitting right in the middle of your town, and a lot of people utilize that park. And it's drawing a lot of people in, but you guys, the recognition alone is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and just traveling to a lot of those tournaments, you always see teams from far and wide traveling to them. And it kind of is about, I think, you think about what goes into making it a good tournament experience for whether it's soccer teams or baseball teams or whatever sport it is. And facilities is a big part of that.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's why, when the trustees and the mayor said it's imperative that we have lights, on our athletic fields. Right. And they did that by, with the video gaming tax that they put into play several years ago. They were able to draw in the video gaming money, and that money came in not just from the residents, but from anybody who entered into an establishment where there was video gaming. And that money helped pay for the lights.
Right.
So it really wasn't directly out of the pocketbook of the individuals in the Village of Godfrey as a whole.
All kind of ties together. Let's talk about, obviously, COVID. There's this thing, COVID-19, going around. I don't know, you probably heard
really?
about it.
I didn't know.
It's probably had somewhat of an impact on what you guys do. So let's talk a little bit about that and where we are with things.
It's adjusted us just a tad bit.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
just a tad bit. Normally, you would start baseball in April, and you would you finish it up around the 4th of July, and then well, we started in July,
Right.
and we ended in basically mid August, and then we would roll into soccer. Well, however, with the state guidelines, we're unable to do that at this point in time, and so we decided, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and do baseball again, which is, to me, I think it's a smart move from our standpoint, because
Sure.
you got to keep the kids active.
Right.
And the more you keep them active, I think that CV-19 as a whole, it may not be prevalent. You know, if you just keep them going nonstop. You know, and if we work, you know, their school around our sports as a whole, it'll all work out.
So that league is open now?
It is open right now. We are taking registration with it. The one thing we're doing, and I think it's a smart thing, is we're only taking checks for that, because in the event that the state were to roll back something, it would allow us to basically not have the checks and not do the refunds as a whole.
Makes sense.
I mean, we have a lot of things going on in the village that people don't understand, people don't realize. And I mentioned earlier that we just had a disc golf tournament at our new disc golf course over at La Vista Park. And there were 60 people out there for the very first disc golf tournament. And what a phenomenal, you know, thing, because due to the fact that, you know, people are getting out and they're trying to stay active. And that's 90 acres out at La Vista Park, and they're out there and they're walking and they're mobile. So the health benefit alone is imperative. And the Rotary International made a donation, and they're helping put concrete tee pads in, is what they're doing. And they're out doing the labor, and they're paying for it also.
I know one thing we were talking about, too, is just expansion of the bike trail again.
Right, exactly. We're very fortunate to receive a $200,000 grant, and then also a land donation. So we're going to start on West Delmar. We're going to head due north, and we're going to hang a right and end up on Boy Scout Lane, and eventually end up on Pierce Lane, and then we'll go north again and hang a right onto Stamper Lane, and we'll tie it into Godfrey Park. The whole idea behind that is tying Lewis and Clark Community College into the San Valentine Trail, and then the individual will have an opportunity to decide if they want to go right, 22 miles, they can go north, and they can end up at the state park, or they can go left. And something I probably shocked you with was when I spoke with a lady out in Colorado, she said, over in Hartford, if you can get to Hartford, you can take the Lewis and Clark Trail all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. And it stopped me dead in my trail, because I was like, I did not know that. But however, there was other individuals who in the area that actually knew that already, and I was like, wow, that's interesting fact. Whether it be a trail and or, you know, some roads, but you can get all the way out there to the Pacific Ocean. I thought that's imperative when we're writing the grants, that people understand the importance of that. And we also, when we're writing our grants, we're utilizing the fact that we have the underground railroad area. Mm-hmm. So that's very important for us.
I know just one great example for, you know, business owners, primary audience that will watch this show, and it kind of illustrates too just the benefit and the process of having a vision before you get started. And the Village of Godfrey really has a vision here that you're kind of, I would say, where would you say you are in that vision?
Well, actually, we're basically mixing it up a little bit right now. And what I want to state that was in 2004, they did a comprehensive master plan for all the parks, and basically to get everything going in the right direction. They finished that comprehensive master plan up to 90%. And now we are in the process of doing all the existing parks with a new comprehensive master plan, and that should be done within 1 year. And then what we're going to do is we have 40 acres of undeveloped land in the middle of Godfrey Park, and we're going to do a comprehensive master plan for the 40 undeveloped acres. So there's going to be a lot of input asked of the individuals in the Godfrey surrounding area.
So more good stuff even to come, more development on the way.
Right,
certainly.
exactly.
And I know fluid situation with COVID-19. Where can people go to get updates on various leagues, or even to register if they were interested in one of the leagues that's going to take place this fall?
Well, they can go to the village website at www.godfreyil.org, or they can call 618-466-1483. Almost gave you my old phone number.
Yeah, I've done that before. Yeah. Well, Todd, anything we missed? Anything else we should touch on?
No, that basically, I'm hoping that covers everything. I really appreciate you giving me the time and opportunity to speak. I mean, and like I mentioned before, the individuals that are the mayor, the trustees, and the park board, they have the vision here and they're setting it forth. And one of the things that it's my job to follow their guidelines, and we're working together in order to make a better tomorrow for the kids. And I always look at it from the standpoint of, I look at the past, I look at the present, where can we be in the future?
Right. Speaking of those guidelines, Todd wanted me to make it clear he's off the clock, so he's not drinking on the job. So
yeah, it's 5 o'clock.
Right, that's right.
Somewhere.
Yeah, so. Todd, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks for all you do for the Village of Godfrey. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.